Hey guys, Devin here with Ground Force Metal Detecting. This is a series of videos geared towards beginners, people who have just bought their first metal detector or haven't even bought one yet and want to learn some of the basic concepts of metal detecting. This video is on discrimination. So what discrimination is a process of deciding and eliminating or rejecting certain targets, usually iron or ferrous targets. Ferrous just means made of iron. All right, and discrimination and rejection I'm going to use interchangeably. I'm going to use the term rejected tones or rejected targets. That just means that it's within your discriminated range and we're discriminating that target. So and discrimination varies with metal detectors, okay? Your low end to high end. Your low end metal detectors are probably not going to have a lot of adjustment, or maybe they don't even have discrimination. But you know, even a modern entry level does have discrimination now. So first thing you need to know is that metal detectors detect and report targets based on their conductivity, and it reports it as a number on a scale, and that scale changes and varies with metal detectors. So there's no universal number for any certain target. It varies with brand and whatever model of metal detector you have, and it'll tell you in your manual what that range is. Iron or ferrous targets fall on the low end of that scale in general, and as far as material, such as a small nail or a small piece of iron junk or whatever it is, or it could be an iron anything, doesn't have to be junk. Maybe you're looking for iron, I don't know. But if you're discriminating iron, and usually we do, that iron range is on the low end of your VDI scale. When you reject that target, it'll either, and this is different ways that discrimination works. Sometimes it's adjustable on your machine, sometimes it's not. It'll either not report that discriminated target to you at all, or it will report it as a low tone or kind of a grunty tone, like bump bump, beep beep, really low. Usually the volume is low. Those things are adjustable on higher end detectors. Low end, not as adjustable. The other way that discrimination can work is called notch discrimination. Notching is outside of your regular discrimination range at the low end of your VDI. Just to say, for example, I'm discriminating my VDI from 1 to 10, okay, to cover iron, okay, and that may not be the numbers on your detector. A notch would be something like, hey, I also want to discriminate VDI from 35 to 39, just because whatever I keep digging up falls in that range. Certain detectors will have a notch feature where I can go in and say, okay, 35 to 39 are also discriminated, and those with notch usually won't be reported at all. You turn that on and adjust it to the notch that you want, and you're not going to hear those targets at all. Now, typically, I personally, and this is a personal preference, I personally want to hear the iron or rejected tones because it helps with knowing if I'm in an area with human activity. If you're out in some field somewhere in the woods and you're detecting and you're not hearing any targets at all, any kind of metal in the ground at all, that's an area that didn't have much or any human activity, once we had iron items. hundreds of years ago, or some places thousands of years ago. But if you're out there and there's nothing in the ground, you're detecting, and suddenly you run into an area with a bunch of iron, you wouldn't know that if you were completely discriminating it to where there is no reporting at all. So I'm out detecting in a field, I'm not getting anything. All of a sudden I hear bump, 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 bump. I'm hearing iron tones. Now I know that I've just entered an area of human activity or more activity where that might have been, some old house site or where people gathered or did something. And where that is, other targets will probably be as well. So that's the reason I want to hear those iron tones. I don't discriminate completely to where I don't hear it. I want to hear those tones. That's the concept of discrimination. I don't notch either, because let's just say, for example, I don't want to dig up all these pull tabs. I'm going to notch them out. I'm going to notch out my VDI, a couple below and a couple above my typical pull tab. Now there are other targets that fall in that same VDI. It could be a gold, typically, and commonly, gold rings will fall in a VDI that also could have been a pull tab, or a pull tab could have been a gold ring. So if I notch them out, I'm not going to hear any pull tabs. Yeah, I'm not going to dig up pull tabs. I'm also guaranteeing myself I'm not going to find any gold items that are in that VDI either. So I don't notch. Okay, I'd rather decide on the fly whether I want to dig something up just based on the sound and the tone and what's reported to me. Depending on your metal detector, when you buy an expensive metal detector, what you're paying for is information about your target. Not so much finding targets that cheap metal detectors or lower end won't find. They'll find them, but they're not going to tell you as much about the target. So ultimately you end up digging up more trash. Yeah, people say dig it all, but I like to try to figure out what not to dig. So that's all part of discrimination, and discrimination is a big part of your level of metal detector. It's a big part of what separates a low-end metal detector from a high-end, is the accuracy and the just sort of different aspects of discrimination that help to identify what is in the ground that you're that's beeping at you. So that's the basic concept behind discrimination. I'm not going to go into real advanced detail here because, again, this is for a beginner, but that should be enough to explain to you what it is and what you're talking about when you see discrimination as a setting on your detector. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I hope this was helpful.
In 2 miles, keep left toward Glen Burnie.
There'll be more videos on other metal detecting concepts coming up. Thank you. Appreciate you watching, and have a great day, and swing away.